Hi everyone, Cleus Glory Young here. So it's been a long and I mean a long day today. Spent the day today going to different organizations here in the city of Philadelphia and volunteered my service there. And I really wanted to talk about this because sometimes when you go and you do things for others, like it ends up where you're getting things out of it for your own personal self, even though that's not the intention of what you're looking at, right? For me, literally, I went there because a friend of mine invited me to come and say, hey, let's go volunteer here. So I'm like, all right, I'll go. I went there. The program that we signed up for wasn't actually the program that we got in. We ended up into another program. But for me, it was like a divine connection because I needed to be in that program. So two things happened. One, um, the task that I was responsible for was actually transferring plans from one container to another. And during the process of that, it started to click for me in something in regards to the course that I'm developing around mental depression. And there's a part in the course that I'm talking about growth, right? So being there today, volunteering, and now transferring the plans from one location, right? Where from one container to another, it's a growth process that we were looking at. How do you get the plants to grow to a bigger level? And everything just started clicking for me, right? I was like, wow, I needed this because now I could actually equate it as an evidence-based concept that is placed in the course to help validate the point that I wanted to make. So I was already making the point in the course, but now I needed something like this to help validate it. So that was something that I got out of it, and literally I didn't go there for that. The second thing that happened there, I went there early, and because I went there early, I was able to actually have a conversation with the person that was in charge of delegating the task for the volunteers. And he began to actually give us the history of Bartram Gardens in regards to the family, who owned it, the things that the garden used to do, the process that it has gone through over the years, and where it is now, like all of that. So I started to reflect on something in regards to me going to the Wissahickon Trails, which when I was there at Bartram Gardens today, that area, right, 40 acres, right, that area started to reflect to me um, with Wissahickon Trails. So I wanted to go into a mode now where I was interviewing the person that was going to be in charge of the overall volunteering process. And I began to interview him where I wanted to see if it's the same thing that's happening to me when I go to the trails, if the same thing that's happening to him here. I don't, it's not a trail, but it has that capacity as well. You can do your walking and stuff like that, but it's considered a garden. So I wanted to see if, again, if what's happening to me when I go to the trails is the same thing that's happening to him. So I started to interview him. Hey, how long have you been working here? 4 years. All right. What's the impact of you working in such a natural environment? And I would call it Mother Nature, right? Natural environment day to day. So he's like, hey, the first answer that he gave me was that it brought him back to his roots. And for you who is out there listening, you may not even understand. But for me, literally, when he said it brought him back to his roots, like I literally could comprehend what he was talking about because that's how I felt when I went to um, the Wissahickon Trails. It's almost like it brings you back to your natural state, your natural roots, your natural state. And literally, I've seen that, right? So that was the first answer that he gave me. The second thing that he said now, which it brought my mind to a whole nother level because he explained to me that he got tired sometimes, right? But it's not tired as in I'm tired and I want to go to sleep, or I'm tired, I am weary. It's like tired, and how he explained it is like it's almost like nature. telling me to slow down. And when he said that, it let my thoughts started to go to a whole nother level, because I reflected to him right away. I'm like, when you're out in the community, right, all we're doing is just running around. So I'm like, yeah, it's Mother Nature telling you to slow down, because I could recall now when I go to the trails now, literally that's what happened. It's like you're there, you're relaxed, you're peaceful, you're in that tranquility moment, right? That serenity moment where it's almost like you're like, wow, you're in heaven. And that's how peaceful it feels, at least to me. I don't know about anybody else. But when he made that answer, like literally I could attest to that. So that was a part of it. The other part of that now, right? As I said, my mind was running. Slow down. Slow down also mean you're aging. Like you can be 30 years old and you look like 50. And I could attest to that when I'm out there. It's like it brings you back to that slow space in life where slow down, relax, enjoy life, be in the moment. Like that's the part that I could recall when he said that. And as I said, my mind was just going like that. But those were things that when I walked away from that volunteering position today, I was like, look at that. I went there to volunteer, to help out, but I left with all these gems that I needed to have at this particular moment, especially that I'm developing the course. And the next part in the course that I'm working on, and I started to put things together already, is the growth process. And growth process, like literally, there is something in it that I started to mention already around the growth process. And I saw this from me being a child in Jamaica. And I literally put that in there because now, like, it started to make sense to me that my grandmom did certain things when I was growing up. And it significantly helped me. So I was like, hey, I need to put this inside the course itself, and it's around growth. Like I never understood what my grandmom was doing, but I know the results that I saw. But now I'm older and I'm actually putting the course together. Like it literally just started to click with me. And then now being there today, like everything just clicked because I saw it from a plant standpoint. And that's what plants do, they grow. And if you understand the dynamics behind the plants, like that's literally how we grow as well. Like everything was just connecting. And as I said, I didn't go there for that, but those were the gems that I was leaving with today. So that was good. The second opportunity was looking at what is now my new position. It's called Reading Captain. So I just started working with this organization now, and it's around addressing the illiteracy rate here in the city of Philadelphia, which is deplorable. I don't even want to get into that. But being an author, right? There's a drive now to really get our children to become literate. It's sad to say. Oh, I don't even want to get into that, but if you hear the results, like I went to the training, I think last week, and if you hear the results of the illiteracy rate here in the city of Philadelphia, oh my goodness, but that's, yeah. All right, so I became a reading captain. I didn't know the literacy rate was that bad, but I became a reading captain, and a part of this is where we're going to be addressing the literacy rate here in the city of Philadelphia. And it's something from being an author, like there are certain things that I understand about reading, because this is one of the big components, getting our parents to start reading to the children at a younger age. So being an author, like there's certain insights that I have with reading that I could now share with this organization. So today was just literally around family night, bringing the family out to come and enjoy a movie. So not much being done there around literacy. I know we had that component to add it today, but because of the time that everything started, everything just got delayed. so we didn't get into the literacy component, but we got into the movie. The families enjoy the movie, and that's a part of it as well, getting the families together. So that's been my day, and it's worth the time that I spent volunteering at these two different organizations. As I said, I went there not knowing that the things that I was going to get out of it would be beneficial to me. And that's a big thing for me. Literally, when I started the airport adventure, you know what I did? I actually gave it away. Like everything that I'm doing now, like I saw it and I tried to give it away. Because at that particular moment, which goes back to the course that I'm developing around mental depression, the airport did such a marvelous, and I mean marvelous job in helping me to come out of that depressive state that I was in, that when I started to put the two and two together, how this could help other people, like literally, I went to a manager at the airport and I pitched the idea and I was like, hey, I could give you everything. And they never responded. They loved the concept. This is how it went down. They loved the concept that I shared with them. The individual, at least, I shared with him. Then what happened now, he's like, hey, put it in writing, write it up and then send it to me. It sounds good. I sent it to him and he never responded to that email. Ran into him again. I'm like, hey, did you get the email? He's like, oh no, I didn't get it. Send it to me again. I sent it to him a second time. He never responded. And I saw him and I never asked him a question anymore. And from there, I took it back and I said, this great idea can't be put in the trash. And that's how I started to develop the airport adventure. But originally, I gave it away. Like, I was so joyful of coming out of that state that I was like, all right, here's the vision to do something great. Like, my life at that time was such a blessed. Like, I felt like I was in heaven, and I was like, oh, I don't need anything else in life. I'll just give it. And I was giving it away. And literally, because the manager didn't respond to it, like literally, as I said, when I met with him, shared the idea, he loved it. But when I sent him the email, he didn't respond. And that's how I actually took the idea and started developing it now to where I'm literally doing the course now. So everything worked out divinely. Maybe he wasn't meant to take it over. Because there are certain things and ideas when people give it to you, if you don't have the foresight of what this is about and where it's coming from, that idea will never get done effectively. It can be done from a monetary standpoint that you can capitalize on it and make a lot of money, but there's a spiritual component that comes with it, and it comes from those who gave birth to the vision of that idea. So that's that, right? So thank you guys so much for listening, and I bid you the best, the safest, and the wealthiest journey that you can ever have. We all deserve that path. All right? God bless.